potential first-time All-Australians in 2025. It's obviously a big discussion each year when you're going to get some of those guys who get their maiden All-Australian blazers, and some of the guys on this list you would have thought would have had one or two by now. But let's have a look across all Lions defenders. Who's probably some of the first-time All-Australians we could see this year?
Well, yeah, Wanganeen Millero is one that obviously is flying at the moment. He's got Adelaide and Port Adelaide coming hard for him as an SA boy, but St Kilda clearly want to keep him because he is a talented superstar. But I do like the work of Nick Loston. Kind of seen a few games of his live and also just on the telly as well. And he admittedly is under the pump consistently, given the fact that Richmond probably aren't performing as well, given the fact they're so young and are rebuilding. But his performances as, I guess, an intercept defender, locking down some of the medium-sized forwards on the opposition, but also helping out some of the younger teammates in his backline, I think, could potentially get a nod in that sense as well. But moving to the mids, there's a few names here that I'm even raised my eyebrows at in reading. And, Josh Dunkley and Hugh McCluggage are definitely ones that I thought probably would have got one by now. Yeah,
for sure. Obviously, McCluggage, when he was a pure wingman, was probably stiff to not get selected when they usually pick some on-ballers on the wing. And Josh Dunkley certainly could have had one by now, you would think. And I think with the role he's playing at Brisbane, if it's not him, it's potentially McCluggage or Lachie Neale gets another blazer. But one of those three, you can probably bet on having a blazer by at the end of the year. And Will Ashcroft actually could be another one who wouldn't have had one yet. Bailey Smith, as you mentioned, with where he's at with Geelong, and Max Holmes, his teammate. One of those two certainly could be in the best 22 this point of the year. Ed Richards, another, I guess he's a current dog, but we've already mentioned Dunkley and Smith as his old teammates. Matt Rowell, Noah Anderson, George Hewitt's probably been the big surprise packet of this year at Carlton, where their midfield's at. So there's a few names there for the midfield, which usually bats quite deep. Like they probably take up 3 of the bench spots most years, on top of having both the wings, maybe a half forward. So I think there's some of the mids that potentially could get a spot for the first time in 2025.
Yeah. Now, Ruckman, obviously, I think we've probably agreed that Max Gawn is in the running clearly for an 8th. We did tip he's probably in the lead at the moment.
Yeah.
But Tom De Koning's year so far has been pretty spectacular.
Yeah, he's just dominant from his first game and of the year, and taking on that sole ruck job has really flourished this year. Obviously, quite an interesting season for him, given his future, but what he's been able to do for the Blues in what has been a difficult year for the club. On the results front, he's been quite a dominant force. And Tristan Sherry probably came quite close last year, and it's going to be hard to rule him out. But you think those two are just behind Max, and then maybe a step off might be Tim English with how he's performing the last couple of weeks.
Or Darcy Cameron as well.
He's probably not one you can rule out. Lloyd Meeks another. Like the rucks, I think this year is just so strong across the whole competition. So it's going to be quite fascinating. And then forwards. What are you thinking about some of the forwards?
Well, Jack Higgins, I said I bought stocks in him earlier in the show. So I would like it, again, to see more forwards get recognised for their work as genuine forwards. We mentioned Dangerfield playing forward. Yeah. I know, obviously, he's got plenty of blazers, so he might be in the running again. But for those who haven't gotten one so far, Isaac Rankin plays kind of 50-50 split, which you can see perfectly slotted on a half forward because that is essentially what that role is. But someone like a Jack Higgins and Paul Curtis playing predominantly at the feet of the big forwards and just applying pressure to the opposition clubs and back line, I think, they're looking like they're pushing their case for their maiden blazer in 2025.
Yeah, you look at the talls, Still Thought maybe, Tracy maybe, Ben King maybe. So it's going to be quite fascinating to see how that all unfolds.